Hi everyone, this is Ms. Granger. In this video, I'm going to go over Lesson 5, Expansion and Isolation, specifically focusing on China. As the last lesson, you are going to follow the directions for what to annotate on the pear deck and answer any questions on your note paper as directed. When we see the pause, we'll pause after reading. We will do whatever it says on the pear deck, or we will continue to work on the worksheet and respond to the prompts there. Let's get started. Here's what my note paper should look like. I've got read the text in the slides and annotate them according to the directions in the speaker notes. As you read and annotate, fill out the information below. We're really working on structuring information and ideas that's appropriate to the specific format, and we're doing that by organizing and depicting information logically. In part 1, Learn and Take Notes, you'll see 3 different sections and they all kind of look similar. So we've got China and then 2 different columns here. This column over here is expansion and isolation. Expansion means we are increasing something, and isolation means that we're cutting ourselves off from something else. On the right hand side, we'll see the same 5 rows as we've done previously: military, cultural, political, economic, and social. And the slides will direct me what to put in each. Remember, in this video, we're just focusing on China. So let's get started. This is slide 2. I'm going to read through the text and help us fill this out. So first, I want to see what I'm looking for. So I'm going to be highlighting the name of the leader who established the Ming Dynasty with the help of gunpowder weapons. So I know I'm looking for that. And then for my paper, I know I'll be filling in the row for political and cultural with information from this slide. So let's take a look. In 1368, aided by gunpowder weapons, Zhu Xiaozhang led a peasant uprising, and his army captured the city of Beijing, the Mongol capital in China. After destroying the Mongol palaces and forcing the Mongol rulers to retreat north, Zhu took power and established the Ming Dynasty. This name comes from the Chinese word Ming, which means brilliant. The new Ming emperor set out to restore traditional Chinese rule. He revived the state examination system used to select officials for the civil service. Under Ming rule, Confucian scholars were again elevated in Chinese society. Classical art and literature were held up as models for artistic expression. So first I want to highlight the name of the leader who established the Ming Dynasty. I'm going to choose a color, I'm going to choose highlighter. And when I look through here, I'm looking at Zhu Xiaozhang led a peasant uprising. They captured the city, and as I scan further, I see he took power and established the Ming Dynasty. So I need to highlight Zhu Xiaozhang. The next thing I need to do is fill in the row for political and cultural. Now, political, remember, means government. So I'm looking for something about how they ruled. Now, if I scan through, I see traditional Chinese rule. This is a good place to start and get an idea. I also wanted to look for something cultural. Culture is something to do with what was life like in that civilization. And in this case, I want to look at the last part of this sentence right here. So read this information here and jot down some notes in your political and cultural column or row in your paper. Pause and do that now. Let's continue with slide 3. The emperor also reformed the tax system and distributed land to Chinese peasants. Under the Ming, agriculture prospered. New crops, such as sweet potatoes and corn, brought from the Americas in the 1500s, increased the food supply. As a result, the Chinese population doubled under almost 3 centuries of Ming rule. Trade and commerce also increased, although Ming rulers, in traditional Confucian style, favored agriculture over business. In 1402, the emperor's son Yang Li took over. Like his father, Yang Li continued to strengthen the Chinese state. He also built a new capital at Beijing, which was enclosed by high walls and featured a great palace, called the Forbidden City, at its heart. Beijing's location also allowed the emperor to focus on the ongoing Mongol threat to the north. So I see here I need to highlight the reasons that the population doubled under the Ming. I know that it had something to do with food, and it was in this first paragraph up here. So scan back through and highlight the reasons that the population increased. Then you're going to go and fill in the row for economic. Economic, remember, means money. So what about this paragraph has to do with money? And I'm going to write that in my paper in the economic row. I'm also going to be looking up here in this first paragraph. So go through this first paragraph again and make these, write this information. Let's look at slide 4. This time I know I'm looking for 2 paper items because I see 2 paper icons. So I'm going to be looking for filling in military with the information from this slide, and also how did Yang Li and Zhang He help to expand the empire. Write this in the expansion column. So I'm looking for military and expansion. Let's read. Later Ming emperors also rebuilt the Great Wall, an ancient defense against nomadic invaders from the north. Construction of the wall represented a major change in Ming military strategy, from offense to defense. In addition, Yang Li expanded China's influence overseas. He sponsored a series of great ocean voyages under the command of Admiral Zhang He. Between 1405 and 1433, Zhang He led a large fleet on 7 voyages to Southeast Asia, India, Arabia, and Africa. The main purpose of the voyages was to increase the flow of tribute, or payment, to China. For the Ming, the tribute system demonstrated Chinese power. It bolstered their age-old belief that China, which they called the Middle Kingdom, was the center of the world. Although the Ming voyages were a great success, the government ended sea travel in the 1430s. Increasingly, the Ming rulers looked inward and isolated China from the rest of the world. So remember, first I was looking for military, and I know I heard something about military strategies changing up here in this first bit. Then I wanted to look at how did the empire expand, and I'm looking for who. Specifically looking at this man, Admiral Zhang He. He had these sea voyages, and there was a particular reason that he went on these voyages. So pause the video and write this information in your notes now. Slide 5 shows us a map of the Ming Dynasty in comparison with modern-day borders. So China here comes around up here and expands a little bit farther west. But during the Ming Dynasty, we can see they had control of all this land that is in the green. So they were pretty expanded. Now, Zhang He was the admiral, or the kind of captain of the ships that explored during this time. And I see that the purple line represents the route that he took. So really all along the Chinese shore, down to Southeast Asia, into Indonesia, up here through through India, over to the Arabian Peninsula, and even the coast of Africa. So he really expanded the influence of the Chinese during this time, and all the while collecting tribute or money to help enrich the empire. Let's continue to slide 7. Ming rule lasted for nearly 3 centuries. By the early 1600s, the Ming had lost the mandate of heaven, or the traditional right to govern. We learned about this in our last unit. In 1644, rebels invaded Beijing and overthrew the last Ming emperor. This group were known as the Manchus. They established a new dynasty, pronounced Qing, which means pure. As the Manchus conquered Ming territory, they took gunpowder weapons from Chinese arsenals and recruited Chinese soldiers who knew how to use them. Over time, and after some defeats, the Manchus began to develop a method of fighting that incorporated their highly skilled cavalry, horses, as well as gunpowder weapons. Combining these different forms of fighting was essential in helping the Manchus ultimately overcome the Ming. I see that on my paper, I need to be, again, filling in some information with military. Now, we did this before, so I can add just a little note on the side, and we're going to find that information in this paragraph here. I also need to highlight the 2 names for the rebels who invaded Beijing. They went by 2 different names, and you're going to find that information in this second paragraph here. Pause the video and do that now. Slide 8 is a true or false question. So I see that the question is, true or false, the Manchus earned the trust of the Chinese people by respecting Chinese traditions. So I'm looking for earned the trust, true or false. And then I'm also listening for information about social values or social ranks in this slide. To remain in power, the Manchus adopted policies that were tough and generous. On the one hand, they forced Chinese men to submit to their rule by wearing their hair in the Manchu style with a shaved forehead and braided hair. They also kept control of the military by reserving the top positions for Manchus. At the same time, the Manchus showed respect for Chinese traditions. They preserved the overall structure of the Ming government and rule according to Confucian principles. They supported the state exam system and allowed Chinese officials to hold high positions in government. They upheld the values of classical Chinese culture. In this way, the Manchus gradually won acceptance from the Chinese people. Qing China became the largest and richest empire in the world. So now answer this question, true or false. And for social, remember I'm looking for what were the groups of people involved here. So I know we have the Manchus, we also have the Chinese, but we have the fact that the Manchus actually allowed the Chinese to still be a part of the government. So we have two different groups, social groups. So let's pause and write that in our social row in your paper. Here's our last slide on China. I know that I'm going to be answering in the pear deck, who is Emperor Qianlong calling, quote, barbarians, and why would this be an example of, quote, shots fired? Let's go ahead and read. Trade and commerce also played an important role in the decline of the dynasty. The Qing officially discouraged trade, while allowing it in limited form. They restricted European traders to the port of Canton in southern China and showed little interest in European goods. In 1793, Emperor Qianlong wrote to King George III of England, quote, "Our celestial empire possesses all things in abundance. We have no need for barbarian products." In the 1800s, China began to experience food shortages and famine. Once again, rebellions broke out, and the dynasty faltered. This reluctance to change left China vulnerable to the growing power of Europe. The Qing dynasty lasted until 1912, but as a result of its policies, it was increasingly dominated by Western powers in the late 1800s. So we're looking for Emperor Qianlong. He writes this quote about the Britons being barbarians, and I want to know, why do you think this is, quote-unquote, shots fired? You're going to answer in the pear deck over here. And then finally, you're going to fill in the isolation column with at least one fact from this slide. So what about China during this time indicated that they were becoming more isolated from different parts of the world, and specifically here, Europe? So pause the video and do that now. Now your slide should say stop. Did you fill out this chart on your paper? You should have this little expansion isolation filled out, and then each of the rows in this chart filled out as well. If you need help, please see your teacher, and good luck with the next part of the lesson.